Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame.
Welcome to the Heel to the Face podcast.
And this right here,
with your hosts, Jarod Wicks, Brandon Icebreaker Clements, and Paul Boy Green Esden.
It doesn't matter what your name is. And that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Texas.
I have received an email.
Don't forget to email the show at heeltotheface@hotmail.com.
Best there is, the best there was, or the best there ever will be.
Brett screwed Brett. Because it's what's best for business.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. The champ is here. Oh yeah, new Jarod. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya.
Tweet us using the handle @HeelToTheFace.
Woo! Let's get ready to sucker.
The bell is rung, so let's step in the ring with your hosts, Paul, Brandon, and Jarod.
I might as well tag me up with my buddy from Syracuse.
This is the Heel to the Face podcast for the second week of September 2017, and we are on the air. We are joined this week, as always, with Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. You can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21. Paul Boy Green Esden, you can find him on Twitter at BoyGreen25. Him and all his, I think now 6,000 Twitter followers, and myself, Jarod, just Jarod Wicks.
Stop buying Twitter followers.
Just
Paul.
1,000 followers for me. And I want to start this week's show out. Now, pretend that you are a rookie, brand new. Maybe you're in your second year, but you're no Alex Rodriguez, you're no Derek Jeter. You're just one of these utility players for the New York Yankees and a rookie. And George Steinbrenner, let's say he's still alive. He invites you in his office, and he has the most gorgeous daughter. And he says, you can go out with my daughter. That's fine. But let me tell you, she's hard to deal with. She kind of eats with her mouth open. She's quite obnoxious. But let me, and another thing, if you break her heart, I'm not just George Steinbrenner. I know every owner in Major League Baseball. So, you might be playing independent ball down in Skeeter, Texas, if things don't go well. And I feel that this past Tuesday on SmackDown, that's the task that Kevin Owens had when he stepped into the ring with Vince McMahon. You want to talk about being on top of your game at WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania, you're just taking on other competitors. You are going one-on-one with Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon says, yeah, go ahead. You can hit me. You can do all this. But let me tell you, if he did Shinsuke Nakamura, let's say, did to John Cena on Vince McMahon, we probably, not just on television, but in the world in general, will probably never see Kevin Owens ever again. How the nerves of Kevin Owens getting in the ring knowing that he was going to wrestle, essentially, and beat up Vince McMahon. I mean, you got to make sure you are on your game.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely fantastic, and we haven't seen Vince on SmackDown in a couple years, so it was great to see him on the show. He still cuts good promos, man. He's on top of his game as always. I thought that whole segment there was fantastic. I loved how the one punt or the headbutt from Kevin Owens split Vince wide open.
Now,
It was pretty good.
Do you think there was some sort of, like, he had a lot of makeup on? Maybe I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that, because if Kevin Owens really did that, and again, Vince McMahon, if he really did it, Vince McMahon was for it, but again, have to be perfect. Even if he had the blood capsule, you have to hit that perfect.
Yeah.
You can't hit him too hard. You can't hit him too light. So you had to hit him perfect.
And then he had the super kicks or the super kick. Then he had the bullfrog splash. That was pretty good.
The kick in the stomach. That's one of those ones not so hard to pull off. But when he got on the top rope, when he did the splash on top of Vince McMahon, I'm sitting here thinking, if you kick him in the head or
if
you
drop
hit
the
him
ball
raw,
here, you're in trouble, man. It was great.
Yeah, Paul, what did you think about the altercation between Kevin Owens and Vince McMahon Tuesday night on SmackDown?
A lose-lose scenario. I'm with you, Jarod. I was like, oh man, hey, punch me. Are you sure? Yeah, no, go ahead, punch me. And then I thought it was entertaining, like you did too, Brandon. I thought it was phenomenal. I wasn't really sure what they were going to do with this angle of Vince McMahon coming, and then Kevin Owens calling him out. I was very intrigued to see what happened, but yeah, that was definitely a lose-lose scenario.
I think that was the highlight of the night too. I didn't think SmackDown was that great of a show. I didn't. I mean, they had all these tag team, or they had all these title matches. I didn't think it was that great of a night, even for having the 3 title matches. I thought the Ty Dillinger AJ Styles match was kind of a letdown. I don't think they could have gone a little bit longer than I thought. and I'm very disappointed because the New Day they got the titles back, so I was kind of disappointed there. But out of all the matches on the card, the best match of the night, I thought, was watching just Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable in the ring together. I think that's a great tag team right there.
That was probably one of the highlights of the night. Didn't need a title on the line. That was a good highlight.
They're definitely building them up as a future champion.
I thought SmackDown as a whole, because of the fact they had the Mae Young Classic final right after it, then they had 205 Live. If you had a ticket to SmackDown, and I saw quite amount of empty seats. You know, they showed a few angles, and I could see the red backs of the seats there, and I'm sitting here thinking, this is a pay-per-view. This is a pay-per-view in my eyes. You know, in the day we're living in, this is a pay-per-view. You have 3 title matches and obviously the Vince McMahon altercation. Then you have the Mae Young Classic, which had, you know, I'm not saying it was the greatest match on earth or, you know, you were the most excited for it, but it had its own pomp and circumstance. Yeah. It had people like Ronda Rousey ringside to see it, you know, so it was an interesting thing that you might pay individually to go see. And then you got 205 Live after that. That was a good, if you could get that ticket for $40 or $50,
that's a good buy.
That was a good buy.
Yeah, I think
definitely. So the fact that there were some empty seats, that was and with the fact that all this was built up, this wasn't a big surprise. It happened. Everybody, you know, that came to SmackDown knew they were getting this, and they built it up a week in advance. So I don't really understand why that place wasn't as jammed as you could be. But getting back to the Vince McMahon, Kevin Owens thing. Now, a lot of people might bring this up, and I was thinking it too, about Vince McMahon. He had some battles with Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the day. Don't forget those. But 2 things about that. One, Vince McMahon was about 20 years younger than he
Vince
is now.
Vince is in his 70s now.
Yeah, Vince was about, 50s then.
He was in his 50s. He
and obviously you saw him at the Royal Rumble 99. He was jacked back then. He was in shape when he entered that Royal Rumble.
He could take a bump back then. I was surprised. I mean, maybe he was playing it up a little bit, but he's got to be a little sore today after that. I mean,
and Kevin Owens is not Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin had a few things going for him. He was the hottest name in the company. He was facing Vince McMahon, who was much younger, as I just mentioned. And if something did go wrong, he was going to have an instant payday because you don't think WCW was going to scoop him up. There was WCW back then, and WCW would have scooped him up and paid him probably even more money than WWE was getting paid. There was no way. This was John Cena. If that was John Cena last night, I could understand. If that was The Rock, I could understand last night. But again, Kevin Owens is not Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, and there is no big WWE competitor, you know, that's going to pay you millions of dollars in case things go wrong. So, in my eyes, Kevin Owens, boy, the nerves getting in the ring last night with Vince McMahon, but an amazing spot.
Paul, go on. Go ahead. You're chiming in?
Yes, yeah. No, I think it was just awesome. I can't say it enough, and didn't want to interrupt you guys, but yeah, I think this is phenomenal, and I think moving forward, we knew that this was coming in terms of the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match. Now we have it on the plate in Hell in a Cell. You were right again, just Jarod. So it's phenomenal, and I can't wait to see it. They're really using Shane McMahon as quite the attraction since bringing him back.
Now, while that was a great promo on SmackDown, the rest of SmackDown was mostly matches. If you want to talk about the night that was like promo mania, we got to go back to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, a great show this week. Great promos. My God, what a show that would have been if it was only 2 hours long. Too bad it's got to be 3 hours long. If I would say if Monday Night Raw was 2 hours long and SmackDown was 2 hours long, I feel we'd be back in that era where like these shows are must see every single week and you can't miss a segment. That's the unfortunate part is you can miss a segment, but the segments.
Thank God for DVR. Thank God for DVR.
Yes. Thank God for DVR because we can make Raw 2 hours long. But my right? Raw would have just been absolutely amazing if it was 2 hours long. It was still pretty good at 3 hours long.
That Reigns Cena thing was awesome.
Reigns Cena every week. They just keep upping the bar. Every week we're like, man, I wish the pay-per-view was this upcoming week because they blew their load essentially. What are they going to really have left to say? And they keep coming. Another week. They keep coming with some great promos.
Yeah, and I will say Roman Reigns, he picked up his end of the bargain on that, and we'll get to something a little bit later that I have. But it's a good little battle going on there. I thought Roman Reigns brought his A game this week. I thought it was a better promo on his half. I'm looking forward to seeing this match. I can't wait to see what the next promo is going to entail. That's going to be great.
Another great promo with Brock Lesnar. Nothing to write home about, but the fact that Brock Lesnar was on the show is something to write home about enough as it is. But
the real part of that though is Braun Strowman. He made a statement right there.
Strong.
He looked great. He put on a major statement. What do you think on that, Paul?
Well, I said Braun Strowman's going to be our next Universal Champion, so everything's just going.
Is he going to be our next Universal Champion at No Mercy?
Yeah, you could just start calling me Just Paul.
Just Paul. Okay. New Twitter handle. Okay.
New Twitter. I wouldn't start open up any new Twitter handles. I mean, he's already got
6 million followers.
Don't want to rock the boat. Got to keep everything pretty.
Stop buying your followers. Stop buying those followers, man.
The promo of the night, though, you got to say the promo of the night went to Miz TV. Enzo Amore. That was just an amazing promo near the end of Raw. Enzo on Miz TV. They went back and forth. Obviously, Miz and Maurice announced that they're going to be having a baby, and it was just. I think they put Enzo Amore in his place. They mentioned the great thing about making people mad in the locker room and being kicked out of the locker room and kicked off the tour buses. That was awesome.
That was a good promo.
The whole show was just great promos. Again, I don't... it's the baseball season's too long. Why? Because they want to make more money. Raw, that's too long. Why? Because they want to make more money. I mean, that's why these things are too long. There's no need for baseball to play 162 games when most of these divisions in Major League Baseball are all sewn up, and there's no need for Monday Night Raw to essentially be 3 hours so we can throw in some stupid matches. Sheamus and Cesaro and Gallus and Anderson, we don't really need them to be wrestling or Elias and Kalisto. You want to have Elias, have him come out, maybe do a quick match with Kalisto.
What was the last match of the night? That was an odd placement.
The last match of the night was just a dumb 8-man tag.
Honestly, I was almost snoozing off there. That was not the way I wanted to see the show close. I would have liked to seen. I mean, the SmackDown close was a whole hell of a lot better. Having Stephanie come out at the end too. I'm definitely interested to see how that's going to turn out.
Well, because SmackDown's 2 hours, you have people make appearances and you have matches that are already set, and you don't have them make reappearances. You don't really have them make matches in the middle of the show for later in the show, stuff like that. That's what you have on Raw. You have John Cena come out and have a great program with Roman Reigns, and then later on in the night have to face Braun Strowman. John Cena versus Braun Strowman, that would be a great match for you to advertise for next week on Raw after we already saw John Cena and Roman Reigns do their thing this week on Raw. We don't need another John Cena appearance. It'd be like if The Rock came out back in the 90s, did The Rock thing, and then we were halfway through the show, we got to do another Rock thing. You're no, he did. Right. That's his thing this week. He went out, he had a match, he did his thing. We don't now need to throw him into a tag team as well. John Cena, I felt, had a great part of the show. Maybe if you wanted to have him in a match early on in the show, like the second match of the show, right after he did the promo, that's great. But then you have to throw him in with Braun Strowman later on in the night. Kind of meaningless. A good potential for a match, Braun Strowman versus John Cena. I felt it was wasted. It would have been better if it was built up next week. But then again, you have these 3-hour Raws.
You got to fill.
I said, you have Sheamus and Cesaro come out to have a match versus Gallows and Anderson. That doesn't happen. Why? So later in the night, you can have an 8-man tag. Just have that match then. Don't have that 8-man tag later.
Yeah,
have the 8-man tag and don't attempt to have the other match.
It was a bad end of the show, I think. It was a good show overall, but I didn't like the way they ended it. But I will say, my last point on Raw is the Asuka vignette. I'm so happy to see that. She's coming soon. How soon? I have no idea, but seeing that come up, I'm excited. I can't wait to see her in on the big show, so to speak. It's going to be great to see her. What do you think on the Asuka upcoming debut, Paul?
It's inevitable. It's been a long time coming, and I wanted it earlier, but you guys made a good pitch as to NXT has to sell tickets and things of that nature on their own, so they had to wait. They kind of had to delay the inevitable there. So no, I'm completely cool with it. I'm completely fine with it. It makes a lot of sense, and it's just it's finally about time, and I'm intrigued to see what she can bring to the women's division.
Speaking of the NXT thing, selling tickets, I'm kind of disappointed personally myself. So last week in Rochester, New York, NXT came to town on Thursday night, and things just happened. I didn't end up going out. I asked a few friends. People were busy. Didn't end up making the trip out to Rochester. Little do I know after the weekend happens, the NXT shows last weekend were Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Rochester, in Niagara Falls, in St. Catharines, which is a city right outside Niagara Falls, and in Toronto. Little did I know that I knew Drew McIntyre. Obviously, he's currently in NXT, but Ty Dillinger and Bobby Roode were on this tour as well. And Ty Dillinger was going to say goodbye to NXT for good in his Niagara Falls, St. Catharines show, Bobby Roode in Toronto. But little did I know they were even on those cards. So my question I want to kind of throw out there, I would have definitely went to NXT or done what I could to go to NXT if I knew Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger were on there. Do you think they need to do more of that? Do you think some of these lower level brand new, let's say Asuka, when she makes her Raw debut, do you think maybe they still need to be throwing her out there with some NXT shows to kind of get some people in the crowd?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, to sell tickets, yes, I could see that. The Ty Dillinger, I don't know.
He's been in WWE a little bit now, so I was very surprised that they were doing that.
I would like to see somebody in the level of Ty Dillinger that's has the previous NXT experience, someone they're still up and coming. Maybe have somebody go down and